everyone! For today's lesson, we're going to tackle about grading and reporting of test results. So what is grading? Grading in education is the process of applying standardized measurements for verifying levels of achievement in a course. Grades can be assigned as letters, usually A through F, as a range. For example, 1 to 6, as a percentage, or as a number out of a possible total, often out of 100. Sabi dito, grading and reporting are fundamental elements in the teaching, learning process. Assignment of grades represent the teacher's assessment of the learner's performance on the test and on desired learning outcome as a whole. It is important to know the standards or policies used by your institution in grading and reporting learners' performance in the test in the course as a whole. Purposes of grading and reporting learners' test performance. Number 1. It includes the degree to which the learners are able to achieve the intended learning. Number 2 is that part of instructional process and serves as feedback loop between the teachers and learners. Number 3 is that one of the way to communicate the level of learning of the learners in specific course. Number 3 is that it gives feedback on what specific topics learners have mastered and what they need to focus more. Number 5 is that in a way, grades serves as motivator for learners to study and do better in the next test to maintain or improve their final grades. Number 6 is that it gives parents information about their children's achievements. Number 6 is that it provides teachers some basis for improving their teaching and learning practices and for identifying learners who need further educational intervention. Number 7 is that useful to school administrator who want to evaluate the effectiveness of the instructional programs in developing the needed skills and competences of the learners. Different methods in scoring tests or performance tests. Number right scoring. Traditionally, multiple choice tests have been scored using a conventional number right scoring method by Vervey, Mayer et al. 2002 and Course 1999. Correct answers are scored with a positive value. Incorrect answers and absent or omitted answers with a value of 0. Sabi dito, assigning a positive values only to correct answers while giving a 0 scores to incorrect answers. Therefore, the test score is the sum of the correct answers.
Good day. My name is Angelica Flordeliz. I will report this topic, negative marking. Negative marking occurs when the candidate marks the wrong answer in the question, and 0.25 marks are deducted from the total score of the candidates from every wrong answer. So for every 4 wrong answers, the candidates loses 1 mark. The negative marking scoring system attempts to encourage students from guessing in order to increase test reliability and validity. assigning positive values to correct answer while punishing the learners for incorrect responses, correct minus wrong. Partial credit scoring. Partial credit scoring is available to all question types except multiple choice, numerical responses, intermediate graphing, and constructive response. For partial credit scoring questions, students who select half or more of the correct response receive 1 point. For example, students that choose 3 or 4 correct answers for an assessment question with the 5 correct responses receives a maximum of 1 point. 3 types of partial credit scoring. The liberal multiple choice test allows students to select more than one answer to a question if they feel uncertain which alternative is correct. Bush 2001. Elimination testing allows for assessing partial knowledge as students can indicate for each of the offered alternatives whether they considered it correct or not. When students want to indicate one alternative as the correct answer, they eliminate all but this alternative. Confidence weighting is concerned with measuring 2 variables, what asked to a question and what degree of certainty the respondent has toward the correctness of this belief. Partial credit scoring is one of the non-conventional methods to introduce because NR and NM methods of scoring multiple choices text are from to guessing with affects test validity and reliability. Multiple response item can be scored on all or none basis where the students is give 1 point for selecting all the correct options and none of the incorrect options and given 0 points otherwise. Allows learners to have multiple answers for each item. Learners are instructed that each item has one of how many answers that are correct. However, incorrect answers that are marked can lead to negative scores.
Holistic scoring. In holistic scoring, essays are not given low scores just because they contain many mechanical errors, nor are they given high scores just because they are well organized. The reader considers the overall impression created by the student's writing sample and assigns a score consistent with that overall impression. According to this format, an absent answer is seen as an incorrect answer. So for their own benefit, students need to give an answer to every question even if they do not know the correct answer, since the expected score for responding is likely to be higher than omitting. This is used in scoring essay and writing composition where a rubric is being presented to serve as a parameter in giving points. Next, analytic scoring. The analytical method is a generic process combining the power of the scientific method with the use of formal process to solve any type of problem. Analytical research is a specific type of research that involves critical thinking skills and the evaluation of facts and information relative to the research being conducted. A variety of people, including students, doctors, and psychologists, use analytical research during studies to find the most relevant information. So, analytic scoring is used to score each aspect of performance task: essay writing, oral presentation, class debate, research, and assigning scores for each criterion. A rubric is also a tool in this scoring method. Next, primary trait scoring. Primary trait scoring is an approach for evaluating constructed responses, in which scores are based on one or more specific aspects of performance that are essential for the successful completion of the tested task. A primary trait rubric is task-specific and evaluates performance based on only one characteristic. A multiple trait rubric evaluates performance based on several characteristics of a specific task.
Multiple trait scoring. Multiple trait scoring is a very flexible because each task can be related to its own scale. The scoring system can then be adapted to the context, purpose, and genre of the elicited writing. Due to its task-specific nature's multiple trait scoring has clear benefits for raters, students, and course designers. Different types of test scores. Raw score, percentage score, criterion reference grading system. Criterion reference grading system. A. Pass or failed. B. Letter grade. C. Plus and minus letter grade. D. Categorical grades. And non-reference grading system have a 4 dimensions. The developmental score, or A1 grade equivalent score, and 2 age equivalent score, and B percentile rank, C Stanine score, and D standard score, or 1Z score and 2T score. Raw score. Raw score is a datum point or value that has not been altered in any way. Raw score are original measurements from the surveys, tests, or other instruments that have not been weighted, transformed, or converted into any other form. Raw score is also called observed score. A raw score is the number of marks a child gets when they are doing a test. This is generally the actual score they get. For example, if they do a test and get 75 marks out of 100, 75 will be the raw score. If you want to calculate your percentage score on a test, you divided the number of points you scored by the number of points possible.
We have here percentage score. If you want to calculate your percentage score on a test, you divide the number of points you scored by the number of points possible. To calculate your exam percentage, divide the marks you received by the total score of the exam and multiply by 100. The answer is 96%, indicating that you received 96% of the marks in your session. A candidate takes a test made up of 40 questions and answers 34 of them correctly. Her percentage of correct answer or score is the number of correct answers divided by the total number of questions multiplied by 100. We have here Criterion Reference Grading System. Criterion Reference Grading System are based on a fixed criterion measure. Criterion reference tests compare a person's knowledge or skills against a predetermined standard learning goal, performance level, or other criterion. Next is pass or fail grade. The pass or fail grading system seeks to partially ease the burden of grades so students can focus on getting the most out of their college experience. The system of pass or fail classes means that instead of the traditional grading where you receive a letter grade A to F, your grade becomes a binary. Either you pass or you fail.
Letter grade. A plus, A minus indicates excellent performance. B plus, B minus indicates good performance. C plus, C, C minus indicates satisfactory performance. D plus, D, D minus indicates less than satisfactory performance. F indicates unsatisfactory performance. No credit. Always include last date of attendance. C, plus and minus letter grades. The use of plus and minus specifies those performance scores that represent the higher levels and lower levels of students' performances within the letter grade, respectively. In the example below, the range of students' performances or scores for the grade of C are between 70 and 79. The letter grades A, B, C, and D have the suffix plus or minus included that distinguish higher and lower performances within each of these letter grades. The letter grade F does not include the plus or minus distinction. D. Categorical grades. Example of categorical variables are race, sex, age, group, and educational level. While the latter two variables may also be considered in a numerical manner by using exact values for age and highest grade completed, it is often more informative to categorize such variables into a relatively small number of groups. For example, a student who scores in the 70th percentile performed as well or better than 70% of other tasks of the same age or grade level, and 30% of students perform better as determined by norming group scores. Norm reference grading system. Norm reference tests report whether test takers perform better or worse than hypothetically average student, which is determined by comparing scores against the performance results of a statistically selected group of S takers, typically of the same age or grade level, who have already taken the exam.
Developmental scores. Developmental scores, a type of score that is used to show an individual position along a developmental continuum. Developmental scores allow comparisons to be made to a series of reference groups that differ systematically and developmentally in average achievement, usually age or grade groups. For example, assume the mean score for 9th graders in the third month of school. 9.3 is 50 on the 9th grade version of the test. If a 6th grader gets a 50 on the 6th grade test, he receives a grade equivalent score of 9.3 even though the 6th grader took the 6th grade version of the test. Grade equivalent score. The grade equivalent score compares your child's performance of grade level material against the average performance of students at other grade levels on the same material and is reported in terms of grade level in months. An age or grade equivalent is simply the median raw score for a particular age or grade level, because the acquisition of skill measured by an instrument such as a vocabulary test occurs more rapidly during early age. Raw score increases at a greater rate with younger examinees than with older examinees. Age equivalent. Simply put, an age equivalent is a comparison of your child performance compared to age groups whose average scores are in the same range. For example, if your 9 years old child score a 42 raw score on a test, and that score is average for 8 years older, age equivalent score would be 8. Percentile rank. A percentile rank indicates how well a student perform in comparison to the student in the specific norm group. For example, in the same grade and subject, a student's percentile rank indicates that the students scored as well as or better than the percent of students in the norm group. The percentile rank score is the percentage of scores and its frequency distribution that are equal to or lower than 8. For example, a test score that is greater than 75% of the scores of people taking the test is said to be at the 75 percentile, where 75 is the percentile rank. In statistics, the percentile rank, or PR, of a given score is the percentage of scores and its frequency distribution that are less than that score.
ST9 scores are derived from a national norm reference sample. ST9 is a score from 1 to 9 with a ST9 of 9 indicating a very high level of general ability relative to the whole norm reference group, and ST9 of 1 indicating a very low relative achievement. ST9s are useful when you want to get a sense of how students' skills scores compares with a nationally representative samples of students in a year level. This sometimes called a normative comparison. Standard score. In a statistical, the standard score is the number of standard deviation by which the value of the row scores is above or below the mean value of what is being observed or measured. Row scores above the mean had positive standard. The standard score, or z-score, refers to the position of an observation above or below the distribution mean. A positive standard score indicates that the value is above the mean, whereas a negative standard score indicates that the value is below the mean. The standard score is a useful statistics because it allows us to calculate the probability of a score occurring within our normal distribution and enables us to compare two scores that are from different normal distribution. In a statistical standard score is the number of standard deviation by which the value of the row score is above or below the mean value of what is being observed or measured. Row scores above the mean have positive standard scores. The standard score, or z-scores, refers to the position of an observation above or below the distribution mean. A positive standard score indicates that the value is above the mean, whereas a negative standard score indicates that the value is below the mean. The z-scores is a statistical measurements that describes a value relationship to the mean of a group. Value z-scores is measured in terms of standard deviation from the mean. If a z-score is 0, it indicates that the data point scores is identical to the mean scores. The t-scores formula for the calculating the z-scores is z equals to x times LR divided by q, where x is the row scores, let is the population mean, and q is the population standard deviation. As the formula shows, the score is simply the row score minus the population mean, divided by the population deviation.
General guidelines in grading tests or performance task. A performance task is any learning activity or assessment that asks students to perform to demonstrate their knowledge, and understanding, and efficiency. Performance tasks yield a tangible product and or performance that serve as evidence of learning. Next is the general guidelines in grading essay. Essay tests are useful for teachers when they want students to select, organize, analyze, synthesize, and evaluate information. In other words, they rely on the upper level of Bloom's taxonomy. There are two types of essay questions: the restricted and extended response. The restricted response is the essay questions limit what the student will discuss in the essay based on the wordings with the questions. For example,
State the main difference between John Adams and Thomas Jefferson's means about federalism. Is the restricted response. What the student is to write about has been expressed within the question, while the extended response allows the student to select what they used to include in order to answer the question. For example, in of mice of men, was George justified? Explain your answer. The student is given the overall topic, but they are free to use their own judgment and integrate outside information to perform their opinion. Now is the new grading system of the Philippine K-12 program. The K-12 education program is a standard with competencies based on grading system. These are found on the curriculum guidance. The minimum grades needed to pass the specific learning is 60, which is transmuted to 75 on the report card. The lowest mark on the report card is 60 for quarterly grades to the final grades. The K-12 basic education program uses a standard of competency-based grading system. These are found in the curriculum guides. All grades will be based on the weighted low score of the learners' summative assessments. The new system under the new curriculum, teacher grades students on a scale of 3, that is 1, 2, and 3. All marks are out of the cumulative mark of 20%, whose average at the end of Senior 4 will be sent to UNEP as continuous assessment.